Good day, peoples, here from Kaunas in Lithuania on a nice sunny, mixed cloudy days in a very colorful city indeed here on the Neman and Neris River. And actually came recommended by someone that was in the comments, and as you can see, it started raining here. Now, as usual, when I'm traveling around, I'm always in a way reminded of a game that I started playing when I was about 12 years old. That was one of the major kindlings in historic history for me. And back then, that was an absolutely revolutionary game, a grand strategy game called Europa Universalis. And the beauty of that game is that over a time span of, let's say, about 400 years, you can play almost any nation in the world. It's a beautiful thing. And there I discovered amazing states, literal states, and state of the world, how things used to be, how big countries used to be, how nations came and nations went. And I remember back then there was one country that really stood out, and that was Lithuania. Around, what is it, 1450, 1500. If you looked at Lithuania on the map, it was massive. And already I'm sure some Lithuanian viewers already clutching their heart because they know where this story is going. But I'll tell you what, as you know, me being from Portugal originally, we also share a similar history of great loss in the context of the world geopolitical game. So I can feel with you. But there was once a time where the Lithuanian Duchy stretched from the Baltic Sea, from where Lithuania is nowadays, all the way through lands like Belarus and Ukraine, Russia, Poland, all the way down to the Black Sea, being pretty much back then, around the 15th century, the largest state in Europe, repelling Mongol invasions, taking over Mongol lands, weakened Kievan Rus lands. But of course, as we know in history, and believe it or not, that is still going on and will keep going on until the end of time, is that nothing lasts forever, and not even borders, unfortunately. By the way, this is the sickest exercise park I've seen so far anywhere in the world for calisthenics. So, of course, history happened, like I said, and then came the emergent Muscovy that later would become the Russian Empire that was emergent, and on the other side, of course, came Prussia. That was slowly encroaching on the territory of Poland. I'm gonna go down into the black. You had to push it, hadn't he? Like Velma and Scooby-Doo. My glasses! I can't see my glasses. Look at this. That's pretty sick. Public Sintelbahn, Dachtan. What's this called in English? Garden track? I'm not sure. But we're jogging now. In the 200 years following Lithuania's peak landmass in Europe, victories followed, but also losses, as they lost land to that emergent Muscovite Russo Empire that back then, and we're talking about 500 years ago, was trying to reclaim the lands of the Kievan Rus that stretched far into what's nowadays Ukraine. And that's that shared history between Russia and Ukraine. How's it going? Hey. As we pass here the church / maybe small cathedral, we're also passing by Kaunas Castle out here on the banks of the Neris River. But so, the territory of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania dwindled over time, and similar fashion, sharing a similar faith to Poland, I find. And it is no surprise that they decided, kinda not really wanting to, but it was a union out of necessity to join forces with Poland, and so the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was established. But of course, even that union couldn't last, as I think I might have mentioned it while I was in Poland, was that Poland, over 2-3 different partitions, was divided amongst major forces in the world: Russians, Prussians, and with them Lithuanians' faith went hand in hand and pretty much ceased to exist. Hey, excuse me, is this statue of Vytautas?
Yes.
The king? And he's the same man that's on the flag, right?
Yes.
They're on the same flag, but this is not the official flag of Lithuania anymore.
This and this is the same.
It's the same, right?
Yes.
And is the flag still used officially? This
Yes.
one? Yeah? Internationally? Or do you use a different
No.
flag now?
We have our flag is 3-color.
Yeah, I seen that
Yes.
one. The green, no?
Yellow, green, and
red.
red.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thanks. And so that great realm that Vytautas the Great had worked so hard for had come to an end. And it's the same depiction of knight on horseback that is depicted on what I think is an older Lithuanian flag. Now they have, of course, a very modern flag, but I find this one way cooler. I really like this one. It's actually one of my favorite flags, and I want to get back, Lithuanian bros watching, that in a time when your empire was at its greatest, Portugal was establishing itself also in the world and finalizing its own borders, and went on to create this great maritime colonial empire, which they were the first to lose, beginning to lose, that is, in Europe. So there's this very big thing about that loss in European culture, in Portuguese culture, I mean, and that's where the whole saudade, that whole internal Weltschmerz, the Germans call it, but sadness comes from. It's like a cultural, historic sadness, and I think the Lithuanians historically have something similar. The opportunity arose during pretty much a power vacuum in during the late First World War between Russia and Germany. Russia, which had abandoned the region, the Germans, which were swooping in here, but there was a lack of hierarchy or established control here. And so a glimmer of hope to re-establish Lithuania, and that is where this city comes into play, because the troubles around 1920 continued with the occupation of Vilnius by the Bolsheviks, later still Poland, and so that meant that the country had no capital. And that is when Kaunas, the city we are now, came into play and became this re-established country's capital. And so Kaunas remained the capital until 1940, where during a quite tumultuous time, you might know it, the Second World War, we touched upon it in Poland too, when the Russians offered, back then the Soviet Union, an ultimatum to Lithuania, and that was join our military pact, let us station troops, and we will give you Vilnius, their old and current capital, back. This pretty much turned out to be a offer you can't refuse type of deal. Lithuania accepted. They got Vilnius back, and not too long after, they were annexed by the Soviet Union, as were other countries in the region, like parts of Poland. So once again, Lithuania ceased to exist. Something was suddenly stalking me that I didn't even see approaching from the front. She was doing her own nature walk. What are you doing here in Concrete City?
Yeah, I got back. Where are you going now?
See that thing over there? I think it's the Orthodox church.
Saint Archangel Michael.
Here you go. She's been preliminary
Did some,
viewing the city
research.
yesterday evening that we got here while I was looking for the most Soviet gym in the region, apparently. And so another 45 or so years of struggle ensued under Soviet occupation. But then finally in 1990, during the fall of the Soviet Union, Lithuania became independent as one of the first in the region once again. Look at the army, the regiment of moped scooters, eh? Jeez. There you go, pretty much Lithuanian history in a nutshell. And a little bit of Kaunas. Colorful, under construction still, but pretty cool little city.